COVID-19 pandemic has a direct impact toward all sectors, including the education sector in Malaysia. This situation has greatly changed the landscape of life of every individual person, organization, sectors and countries throughout the world. In the context of the education sector, the Ministry of Higher Education has decided that all teaching and learning activities will be implemented through online distance learning and face-to-face activities will be postponed. Consequently, this scenario has changed the mood of teaching and learning practices from face-to-face learning to online distance learning. In fact, both lecturers and students are faced with a new learning environment, satisfaction and expectation. Study conducted by Nurhaiza and Nur Nadia 2020 shows that student expectation and their level of satisfaction with online learning courses have received significant interest from educational practitioners. In relation to this, even though online learning is the only available approach during the COVID-19 pandemic, student satisfaction is crucial for successful and effective learning process. As highlighted by Salvanathan 2020, their study findings have revealed that the students showed a high dissatisfaction with the fact that they cannot interrupt the lectures during the teaching. In fact, there are some barriers in the interaction between lecturers and students throughout online teaching. Not only that, limited internet access also affected the implementation of online teaching for the students, especially those who stayed in rural areas. Based on the above-mentioned statement, this study would be the starting point to identify the level of student satisfaction in relation to teaching and learning through online distance learning, and second, to propose intervention mechanism through the use of student satisfaction scoring survey in real-time SSRT as a continuous improvement or Kaizen approach towards improving teaching and learning activities.
This study sample size will be based on the Crinchi and Morgan tables. A survey was conducted on 233 students from Part 6, AM225, AM226, and AM228 from the population 411 students.
For results and discussion, there are 5 criteria as being tested. For the first criteria on lecturers' preparation, most of the respondents voted for very satisfied for lecturers' explanation on scheme of work before lesson, and least number of respondents voted for dissatisfied, which is related to lecturers' preparation before lesson and explanation on scheme of work. For the second criteria on delivery method, about 55.6% of respondents voted for satisfied for lecturers' application of noble values in teaching and learning, and only 0.4% of respondents voted for very dissatisfied for lecturers' sharing on concept and terminology and also application of noble values. Content organization is third criteria in this study. Majority of the respondents voted satisfied for lecturers' transition from one topic to another, and about 0.9% of respondents chosen dissatisfied for item number 1 if their lecturers use terms, concepts and principles clearly. Fourth criteria is interaction between lecturers and students. Most of the students felt satisfied with lecturers' attention towards students. Least number of respondents voted for very dissatisfied on lecturers' concern about students, accessibility during online learning, and also lecturers' attention towards students. Last criteria is on lecturers' professionalism. Majority of the respondents voted for lecturers' good behavior and professionalism as an educator, and contradictorily, only 0.4% of the respondents voted for very dissatisfied for lecturers' presence throughout the lecture session.
Contribution, usefulness, commercialization and novelty. The finding of this study could be beneficial, especially in terms of planning, designing, and most importantly, improving service delivery. It also suggests to conduct and provide constructive and timely feedback through the use of student satisfaction scoring survey in a real time as one of the intervention mechanisms in class, and would also act as a continuous improvement. One of the strengths is that it could provide a scoring level of student satisfaction in a real time in relation to teaching and learning. The uniqueness of this study is the evaluation was done in real time. Lastly, the framework also can provide the academician and the student with more immediate indicator of teaching and learning process.
Conclusion: Student satisfaction scoring survey in a real time is seen as one of the intervention mechanisms in class and also acts as a continuous improvement, or known as Kaizen, towards achieving the maximum level of student satisfaction, particularly in relation to teaching and learning activities, especially at Malaysian higher learning institutions. Besides, it is also seen as a value-added element towards the betterment and development of the education sector in Malaysia, since this intervention mechanism is still at an embryonic stage.